So, tell me a bit more about like what a typical engagement looks like. And again, I was
Yeah,
browsing your site and I
sure.
see you do coaching. You also do like programs, group programs, and trainings. Like, how does
hmm
it all sort of fit together
Work
for you?
out. You mean kind of like, well, so, kind of like you mean like when somebody first comes to me and how do I kind of figure out what do I offer
Yeah.
primarily?
Yep.
Yeah, so like during any, like when somebody comes to me, obviously I learn about what they're looking for. I always ask like, what are you not looking for in a coach, right? What are you looking
Mhm.
for? What's your key objective? Where do you want to get to in terms of short-term goals? And then typically I've been doing primarily one-on-one coaching for the past, I would say, since COVID.
Oh, okay.
Pre-COVID, I was working more with like either I had an office downtown, so I sometimes ran small group programs,
Hmm.
or I ran these kind of programs for these group of pharmaceutical employees in India for a number of years. It's something I created early on, and that went really well. This is kind of pre-Zoom days.
Huh.
So it's been primarily one-on-one, and now I'm kind of moving in a direction of wanting to provide group coaching, and that's getting probably beyond not working just with speech or accent because that's also the people who need that typically come to me being very, very busy. They don't have time. They don't
Hmm.
feel either it might be about the exposure of getting the individualized feedback because it can be
Yeah.
very, nitty gritty specific. But I'm kind of moving a little more into, let's say, fluency coaching, trying to
Uh-huh.
get that into a group coaching situation, and then also offering working on more passive income. So
Yeah.
I've created a
Yeah.
lot
I
of
want to.
material since I started this. I've been in business now for 10 years, so I've created a lot of materials and probably have not done myself justice in terms of what I could offer, to actually
Yeah.
get
It.
more revenue coming in. So,
I mean, we were talking about this being
yeah,
like a niche, but it's such a huge global ocean of different
yeah,
needs in the areas of speech and communication, you know.
right.
So,
And
so I definitely want to get into like how you're transitioning into like the group
sure,
stuff and more passive, but like even more basically. So,
yeah. How do I
do you,
actually work? Yeah,
well, I'm kind of curious about
yeah.
like, okay, so I know it's like mostly like professionals. Are you mostly working with like an individual person, or would like a company approach you and say like
Both.
we want to bring you in for like our department or something like that?
It's been both.
Hey, just a quick break to tell you about Clarityflow. It's the software tool loved by coaches and their clients for communicating asynchronously in threaded conversations using video, audio, or text. My team and I designed Clarityflow for the modern day coach. It lets you give clients a single place to engage with you and all that you offer through your coaching business. Run coaching groups, cohorts, and communities using our Spaces feature. Create interactive courses using our Programs feature. Build your coaching library with templates and reusable content. And sell access to your coaching programs with subscriptions or one time payments. Customize colors and connect your domain to give clients a fully branded experience. You can use Clarityflow on the web or our mobile apps for iPhone, iPad, or Android. And connect any other apps using our Zapier integration. Start with a free trial or request a personalized demo and consultation by going to clarityflow.com. Something like that.
It's been both. Individuals will typically when it comes to like working with accent speech, it's really the individual because it's a
Mm-hmm.
very in a company, maybe during a one on, like during an annual review and creating an action plan, they might get feedback you're difficult to understand, improve your ability to communicate in meetings,
Mm-hmm.
so it's never really directly addressed as speech because it can then become, especially in this, these days, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes politicized. And
Yeah.
and that's something I've struggled with in the very, very beginning in terms of the marketing of it. Because it's like, well, I can't,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like, ooh,
Yeah.
accent
So when it's
reduction. I
like,
mean, I love accents, so it's not, people have,
yeah,
it sets kind of a concept, preconception, like,
it's a
ooh,
fine line between like this is like personal, professional.
Bingo.
We need to be effective at work. We need to,
Exactly.
but we're all individuals here, right? So,
Right. So a lot of
mm,
so I have had companies come to me work with an individual. I've had companies come to me saying we have a group of employees, the scientific researchers like in India, the example I gave you. Can
mhm,
you help? And I've created programs, and it's like been good. But I would say, nowadays, especially when COVID kind of happened, from contacts I have who are more in like kind of like in a larger relocation companies, I have
mm,
heard like essentially the concern, like in the old days, it was like, oh, we can't really understand person X, but we're going to go and follow up with emails and kind of make sure we get things clarified. When COVID, with COVID,
mhm.
where everybody's like maxed out in terms of putting in long hour days in the corporate arena, the whole issue of speech was like, we don't care anymore. So it's,
Yeah.
so people, I think it's kind of a tricky topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like the transition with COVID really made a pretty big impact on how you work and
Yeah.
who you work with,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
like,
Really.
what did that look like? Like what? So,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. Like, but pre-COVID, were you more local, regional, in person, and it became more global as you went remote on Zoom and after COVID, or?
Good question. I would say there was definitely more like pre-COVID. Part of growing the business was I would go to, say, a networking event, or like in the office space, it was like an office, kind of like a co-working space for
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. So, there are opportunities to meet people, and that can lead to making connections. That's really, I felt like, okay, that kind of, it's like business by referral, past clients referring people, and then
Mhm.
keeping new people. And I've always been bad at marketing. So I know this is like a lot of
Everybody's bad at
people in my
marketing.
position. It's like, but yeah, so it now it's shifted also, like in how I'm doing things. Like my whole approach has shifted as well in terms of what I'm offering. So like coming to, with Clarityflow, so one of my, kind of Suzanne, somebody who knew your product, she and I were
Oh yeah.
communicating about my website, and I'm like, and your zip message at the time, correct?
Right.
And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. We
oh,
changed.
this
Yeah.
is an interesting tool, because that's how she communicated with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me look more into this. So,
Yeah.
I think that, that this tool is actually kind of instrumental, I think, in all honesty, to my kind of going forward.
That's
You
awesome.
know.
Yeah.